Hey, we are live, Keaton. This is sweet, dude.
Yep, this is really
Well,
cool.
this is good. Well, good night, man, or good evening, everybody that is just joining us on Facebook. I mean, I feel like it's about to blow up any second now. Uh, my name is Tyler Mulvaney. I got with me Keaton Eisenminger.
Yep, you pronounced it right. Yeah,
I
that's
pronounced it right? Okay,
yep,
Eisenminger. Perfect.
yep.
Well, we are talking tonight about Senior High Wilderness Trek. This is a camp for ninth through 12th grade, and I got my little banner for you, man. The little pop
Wow,
up. It's
that's
so cool.
impressive.
I mean, just the
This
graphics
is
on this are epic.
this is high budget. This is good.
It's how we do it, Oil Belt.
Uh,
So what we got? We're talking Senior High Wilderness Trek. This is for ninth through 12th grade camps at Oil Belt, and I'm excited to talk about this camp for several reasons. This will be Keaton's first time leading it, but it is. We're going to talk about what it looks like, but I want to get the dates out because I always forget this. Senior High Wilderness Trek is for students that this fall will be in ninth through 12th grade. So
mhm,
that means if they're an eighth grader right now, they could
mhm.
sign up for this camp.
How many spots
Uh,
are left by chance?
there are two spots left for this camp.
Okay,
So
two.
we can take 11 students this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have 9 signed up, 8 boys and 1 girl.
Mm-hmm.
So either we need to just get the rest of the boys in there, or maybe the girl needs to
We
add
need
some
some,
friends.
yeah, add some friends,
Yeah,
get some
eight
other girls in there. My wife's going, so it'd be nice to have some more girls.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this camp has yeah, it's an awesome week. We're gonna talk about what it looks like. Keaton, you mentioned my office earlier. Uh, I had I had a nice little prank to start my week from some of our staff, and so they thought this would look good on Zoom tonight. So I said, "Thanks, guys. I appreciate your decorating for
Yeah,
this
and
event.
that's going to be your permanent office, correct?
Permanent, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
definitely will stay permanent. My kids love it. My kids
Mm,
love it.
mm.
So I left it all for them. Okay, so let's jump in to Senior High Wilderness Trek. This is Keaton's first time. Keaton, let's tell us a little bit about yourself. So,
Yeah,
who are you?
yeah, I'd love to tell you a little bit about myself. Before we do that, if anybody
Yeah.
has any questions or comments or anything like that, and they'd like to, while we're talking about the Senior High Wilderness Trek, you'd like to comment below. If we're still recording, at the end, we'll allow some time for some questions, some Q and A.
Good point. And we can see those popping up.
Okay,
That's good.
good.
There's a lady named Susan Beasley says, "Hi, how are you doing?" So, see,
Hello,
we can see
Susan.
that. That's awesome. It's
That's actually
exciting.
really cool. Um, Okay, well, let me go ahead and start and talk a little bit about myself. I grew up in Greenwood, Indiana, about 30 minutes south of Indianapolis, in a place that is quite different than where I live now. 60,000 people. Lived there majority of my life. Then I went to Ozark Christian College. Graduated there last 2021, December
Right.
2021. Bachelor's in youth ministry, student ministry. Um, and I now live in Olney, Illinois. This is my first ministry as a youth minister. I've been there since January of 2022. I've been there over a year now, which has been really, really cool. I've learned a lot, grew a lot, and just got married this last December to Erica, my wife. She's now living here with me, so that makes ministry a lot better to have my wife with me, to have her with me
Totally.
for sure. Um,
And you're doing awesome. And you're doing an awesome job at Olney. I hear nothing but good things over there from people at your church, people I know, and so I'm so pumped you're there. You're doing a great job.
yeah, thanks.
First year,
I appreciate.
man. It's crazy.
I'll
It's
have to
just
pay you later. I'll have to pay you
hey.
later
Well, I
for
mean,
paying
yeah, totally. I mean, that's
me. um, but anyway, I love a little bit about me too. I love doing things outdoors. So this is perfect. Doing things outdoors, like going on hikes. My wife and I have gone on a couple of hikes here and there, including the organization that we are partnering with for this senior high trek, Discovery Ministry. We've been going there in Eminence, Missouri for 5 years now. I have, in particular, every November for their hike-a-thon, which is a 24-hour hike-a-thon where you hike as many miles as you can in 24 hours. It's literally hike until you drop. And so,
So how many did you hike?
Well, the first year I got like 40 miles in 24 hours. I did that. I was not very experienced. Let me tell you, I've learned a lot over the 5 years. I did not stretch at all. This is like something that you have to do when you're doing high, like walking mileage. Right. You have to stretch. And let me just tell you, I could not walk the next day.
No kidding.
Yeah, I had to basically be like, somebody had to like help me get around places. It was bad.
Well, I've been down there and we hiked 12 miles was the circuit we were doing. We ended up hiking probably like 4 more on top of that in just a little under 24 hours. And so like for what you did is ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
that's
ridiculous. Not even our highest mileage that we've done. Eric and I in 2021, so right around when time we started dating, I took her to this, like literally 3 months into us dating, took her to this, and we went to this Wilderness Discovery Ministry hike-a-thon that I'd been going to, and we did 50 miles, 24 hours.
Gosh.
We stretched that time, learned a lot.
That's good. And she came back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and she stayed with me after that. But have a lot of experience doing stuff with Discovery Ministries. I know them personally, all the staff. They're great. But yeah, that's all about me. A little bit about me.
Yeah. Good deal. Well, tell us a little bit about Senior High Wilderness Trek, like what you do, and we'll sprinkle in some stuff there, obviously about Discovery. We'll talk about, but what do you do on a week of Senior High Wilderness?
Yeah, so I wanted to, before we get into that, I wanted to kind of just put I don't know, a little thing before we do that. So this will be my first year, as Tyler said, deaning Wilderness. I've not done this before. Like I said, my first year in ministry here in Olney, and so last summer we did middle school. It was 5th and 6th grade, I believe. So
yeah, you were right around that area.
Yeah, around that age. And so this will be my first year deaning Wilderness. And so Discovery Ministry has done a wonderful thing to help me get prepared by going to train May 21st through the 25th, actually, for their internship training week. And so that'll be a really wonderful thing for me to kind of get to know the area even more, familiar with the area, and kind of a little bit more about what our itinerary would be and what it'll look like. We'll also be accompanied by a trained guide who knows the area, has done many of expedition trips before, wilderness expedition trips, and will definitely be helpful during the week to kind of get my feet wet, Eric and I's feet wet, so that way in the years future to come that we will be more familiar with the area, and we wouldn't need a maybe trained guide with us. And so that'll be really good. Also, we'll be, like I said, accompanied by my wife, Erica, so that'll be really good.
And that's,
so what a week.
That's what I love about Senior High Wilderness, just to jump in there and point that out, is we are with trained guides, like people who are there year in, year out, and do this often. So as you go down there, you've got experience, but you have these people that I know just from the last couple of years working with Discovery Ministries has been huge, and having that guide where people said, like if the water was rough one day, they, help them, like, how do you navigate that? Or I know there's one story where they had, like, it just poured down rain and they were like trying to get their shelters up and stuff. And the Discovery guide looked at the dean and said, "Can I take over?" And they were like, "Yes, please help." And so the guide was like, boom. And he said, like 10 minutes later, they're like standing under, there's a hot fire, nobody's wet, all their tents and everything's up. And he's like, I don't know how in the world that guide was like, just knew exactly what to do and like make it safe and everything and so
Mhm.
quick. So like just Discovery Ministries is awesome. So I mean,
Yeah,
like
they're like Bear
that's huge.
Grylls. They're like Bear Grylls. Like they could survive anywhere. Like, you
Big
know,
facts.
they're
It's
they're
true.
they're great.
It's true. So I appreciate them going
Yes.
and you know, because I trust you, but also parents can go like, hey, you know, there's gonna be people who do this all the time, not just for a
Hmm.
week every summer, you know.
Right.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah. And so, let's go ahead and just kind of talk about what the week's gonna look like.
Nate Whistler says Keaton is my hero, just so you
Oh
know.
my gosh, I was in Florida today actually at Common Ground, and he walked in and said that he's gonna post something while this is going on. So of
Thanks,
course
Nate.
he did.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks,
All
Nate.
right, yeah. So tell us what you do at a week of wilderness. I know I've dragged this out long enough already.
So the goal of the week is this: is to put students through challenging situations that they grow closer to God through those things.
Mhm.
So, um, and it'll start by on July 8th, which
Right.
will be a Saturday night. We'll get to Oil Belt Camp, and we will get to know the students. It'll be kind of like a buffer before we actually go to Eminence the next day. In the past, in the wilderness expeditions, Tyler's told me that this has been a great time for students to kind of feel out if they actually want to go and do this week of camp, because it's no joke. It's a week out in the wilderness, and you're put in some really tough situations that have a lot of endurance and perseverance, and so it's kind of a feeling out period for the students. And we'll kind of run through procedures and what the week's going to look like on that day, getting to know each other. And so, yeah, Tyler's got some stories about
Oh
that, or
man.
one story in particular.
The
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the deal. Like when students get there, like you're there, you know. And
Mhm.
so just over the last couple of years, we had students that, you know, like they show up and don't realize they're going 4 hours away from here.
Mhm.
And when you get out of the van, you start hiking into the woods and like not like woods around here where like there's a road every mile. Um, like when I the one of the times we went down there, um, we like I said, we hiked like 8 miles and we set up camp and we're hanging out. All of a sudden it starts raining and like there was a flash flood and we were down in the valley. And so we were like, we have to get up because the water is like gonna flood this valley. And like it's the only time my phone actually worked in Emmons, Missouri. So
Wow.
that's why we actually hiked like 10 miles that night after this was because our car was so far away. The way we went, we couldn't get back to the car that way. Like it wouldn't have worked. And so we had a makeshift away and we ended up hiking, I don't even know. Like, yeah, it probably could have been 8 or 10 miles, but we actually this is terrible, man. You're gonna make fun of me. We ended up calling the police because it was like 2 a.m.
Wow.
We were soaked and it was April or May. And so we were like, we literally have once we get to this road, it was gonna be like 18 miles back to the car walking the road. Just because, like, you know how the mountains are there, like for us to actually
Yeah.
get out. So we were
Right.
like, once we get to the road, we have 18 more miles to the car. So we ended up just calling the cops and they're like, yep, come on, you Illinois boys, we'll come pick
Uh,
you up. And they made fun of us, man. And it was totally
oh,
worth it. And he just laughed and laughed and laughed. So,
I,
like, again, having Discovery there and like taking students, you know, like it's so helpful. Like I lived that story. So it was good.
yeah. Yeah, and kind of to your point, this week is kind of no joke. It's hard. It's going to be hard for the students that go, and so that's why that first day is kind of, um,
Yeah.
kind of a buffer period for the students.
Yep.
Uh, then we will get on the van in the van to head to Discovery on July 9th on a Sunday. We'll get there, and we'll have a debrief with the staff at Discovery, um, and we'll introduce the students to our guide, and then we will depart, like you said, right into the wilderness. We'll go straight in that morning, and we'll be gone until the 14th of July. And wanted to kind of go through a little bit. Don't want to spoil too much about what the week's going to entail with when it comes to the details, the fine details of the week and what students can expect and what parents can expect of what is going to happen. I said previously the goal of this week is to put students through challenging situations where they will grow closer to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Food, that is a good thing for parents to know. There will be food, so we will not be hunting out food. We will not be catching fish with our bare hands. We won't be doing that. There will be food provided. Actually, each student will get either like a day's worth of food that they'll be carrying, or like some part of one other day. Students will be carrying food throughout the week, for the week throughout the week on their back. And so during all the hiking or canoeing or whatever we're doing, they will have food on their back. There will be breakfast, there'll be lunch, there'll be dinner, there'll be snacks for the students.
And you eat pretty good. Like,
Yeah,
I know the menu. I've been at the Walmart when we've been shopping for it. Like, it's good stuff. They'll eat good. I mean,
yeah,
for what you can. I mean, you're carrying it, but you still eat good.
right, right. And I've got a list of all those foods as well that Discovery Ministry actually provided,
Nice.
and so that'll be very helpful. They provide good. They provided the list of foods, so that way we are able to give them the proper nourishment
Mm-hmm.
for a week like this.
And we around here call it Leah's Surprise. I don't know if the list showed you Leah's Surprise, if that's the name.
Uh,
But we call it Leah's Surprise around here, and it's, dude,
uh,
I've ate it just because it's that good, and
wow.
like not even hiking, like, so.
Yeah.
Look forward to Leah's Surprise. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Leah, for those of you who don't know, Leah is she's the one of the heads of Discovery
Mhm.
Ministries. She's one of the leads. So she's wonderful.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
she's guided a couple trips for us, and it's awesome. She's so good.
Yes. She's great. So on top of this, there will be an assigned 2 or 3 students who will be leaders of the day. And what they will do is their goal is to prepare the camp each day. They'll prepare the camp, the fire, and food for the day. So they will actually cook the food for the students, the other students for the day. So this will be the daily task that everyone will have to do. They'll have to carry heavy stuff on their back, trekking through the woods, and one of the days they will be a leader, and so they'll have to do hard things that whole day as a leader. There'll also be other tasks that students will be doing throughout the week, like I've already mentioned, backpacking and canoeing, setting up and tearing down camp. Are some of those things. And also another thing is each day we will have the students memorizing scripture. And we think that that's super important for them to be out there in the wilderness with no distractions. That's another thing that we get to do together is there's no distractions out there. You know, our culture today, so many phones and technologies, distracting our students, distracting people, distracting us. And just to get out there in the peace and quiet, and
Right.
just to memorize scripture and lean in closer to God through difficult things that we have to do is going to be really good. And we're going to be memorizing chapter 1 of James, which James in particular talks about Jesus having that whenever we follow Jesus, that we need to have perseverance, and through the trials and the hard times in our lives that we need to lean into him. And we think that this is going to be super helpful for the students to memorize as they're doing hard things themselves. is to memorize James 1 and to lean into Jesus, to have perseverance. And so there will also be devotionals. Of course, we will have devotionals kind of talking about what we did that day. And so how does this hard thing that we did today, how does this maybe correlate to the Christian life and how you can live your life for Jesus outside of this camp, outside of this week of camp? So, so to wrap up our details for this week, students are going to have a lot of fun. This is a week that is going to be a lot of fun for the kids. They're going to be tested. They're going to be put out of their comfort zone a lot to do hard stuff that they might not do here in Illinois.
Definitely that they don't do here in Illinois.
Yeah, definitely don't do in Illinois.
They'll know that on the first hill they climb, man. You're like, that's not a hill.
Right. Yeah. So, and we hope at the end of the week that students can rely more on God in their lives and with the habits that they were built during this week, that maybe they come back with a different perspective of life in general and just leaning in and trusting God more, no matter what the challenge or difficulty is that they face. And so that's what we hope that this week provides for the kids, and a lot of memories and a lot of things to remember about.
One of the things I believe about Wilderness Camp in particular is students who have gone, most of them seem to come back year after year. Like they go and, if they'll go in 7th, 8th grade, like they're probably going to go all the way through high school. And it is hard to get juniors and seniors to come back to camp. Just like if you look at the numbers, juniors and seniors, they're working. They're higher up on varsity sports. And so, usually that's a higher like workload with your sports, family, just everything. They're much busier by the time you get junior, senior, and driving. And that's not true of Wilderness. Like those kids come back. And it's just, I believe so much in this program of the Wilderness Camps at Oil Belt because it's life-changing. I hear it from the parents of the students who come. It costs the most of any camp we do because of going to Discovery and what you need and the equipment. And parents are like, nah, like gladly pay that for my student to go to this program. And it is such an impactful camp for high school, junior high or high school students. This is specifically the high school one. And so for us here at the camp, we're like, it is hard to find people who are willing to be completely out of cell phone signal for a week, to hike miles, whatever the weather throws at you. But man, like it is life-changing. And so we appreciate you and your wife for leading it, for partnering with Discovery. I hope parents, really do go sign up, oilbelt.com. There were 2 spots left at the beginning of this. So, like if you have a senior high student, time's ticking. We do have a wait list, because we've had kids get sick or hurt or something, before they can go. So if you get on the wait list, that's a good thing. One thing we didn't mention, Keaton, that I realized as you were talking was packing list. I know you probably don't know a lot of that yet. What we do is if you sign up for this camp, usually in mid-April, 1st of May, we'll send out a packing list that Discovery pretty much provides. We kind of go off of theirs a little bit. But we'll send out a packing list in late April, early May for this camp of what you will specifically need. If you want to know before that, we have previous years that are usually similar, but obviously equipment, stuff like that always updates. We have a lot of equipment here at the camp as well. And so the backpacks, dry bags, stuff like that, we have that at camp. So don't go buy a $200 backpacking bag for this week. We have that for your students. We have dry bags for your students. It's more of the clothing, the backpacks, the sleeping bags, that type of stuff that, students need. But anything you want to speak into that? It'll be coming, but is there anything specifically that for packing list, or they just may think like, what should I bring or not bring?
I think in particular, just wait. For that last week of April, first week in May. Discovery Ministries has been doing this with Oil Belt for a while now, and so it'll be probably if you've been here before, if you've done this before,
Right.
probably most likely kind of the standard packing list. But
Right.
yeah, just stay in the loop and just stay tuned.
Lots of sunscreen. Bring your own sunscreen.
Yeah.
Bring lots of that.
Lots of sunscreen. Yep.
Lots of that. I've seen some red people after the river. Man,
we are going in July. I mean, that is the hottest time, so I definitely would recommend that.
Totally. Just invest
Lots
in
of
that
time
now.
on the water too with canoeing.
Right.
So
which is good because I'll keep you cool too. And you guys are always near water in some capacity. So
right, that is true.
Mm-hmm. So hey man, I think we've hit everything we said we needed to talk about. Is there anything else you're thinking like, hey, last minute that came up or that we didn't hit on your notes?
I think we hit everything that we know so far. And like I
Awesome.
said, me and this guide are going to be meeting in May and talking about what the itinerary is going to look like more and just what we want to do as my first time deaning and what can be a challenging thing for the students to do that will maybe show them a real life example of, hey, like I can trust and rely on God in hard situations, hard times. And
Right.
so, yeah. And so I'm looking forward to that. But that's it.
Yeah.
I think we covered. So
good deal. Well, I'm thankful for you. Thankful for your wife for leading this. Nate Whistler says he loves us both. He corrected it. He said both. Then he threw the B in the next post. So Whistler, we love you too, buddy. Mm-hmm. He's the man. So he's actually going to spend a couple weeks here at camp with us too this summer. So he's not going to go wilderness though. No way.
No. Oh gosh, that would be something.
We might pay to see that though. Wilderness. Hey, Whistler, we're going to take you on a wilderness trip.
That's
we
right.
need you to pre-scout it with us. But Keaton, appreciate you, man. Parents, go sign up, oilbelt.com for Senior High Wilderness Trek. 2 spots left. Let's get these full and get ready for summer. So appreciate you guys. Have a great one. All right, we're going to hit end broadcast. There we go.